A school in Middlesbrough was keen to embed careers in the curriculum, and they invited departments, faculties, teachers to submit proposals for where they felt learning could be brought to life. The science team presented quite a range of topics, right the way from Year 7 through to GCSE. Alongside that, in their brief, they identified their reasons that some of the concepts are difficult to articulate to the students, and they find it difficult to link to everyday life. As they say, the topics are particularly dull and often pupils lack motivation. And their outcome is to see students who see the bigger picture and refer to how this may help them in the future. And as they put it, science is not just about wearing a lab coat. They want them to see much greater potential from learning the subject. One of the topics was electricity, which is studied at Year 7 and in GCSE. And as you would expect, at Year 7, the student learn about voltage, resistance, current. At GCSE level, obviously it's dealt with in a little more detail, and as one would expect, it makes an appearance in exam papers. In our response, we looked at a range of those topics that have been presented, and this is our Step 3 brief, our suggestion about what we might do in response. And we looked at both electricity in Key Stage 3 and in GCSE, suggesting that perhaps working with paramedics might have some potential, looking at the use of static electricity in defibrillators. We had a discussion as a result of that with a senior manager at the College of Paramedics, and we drafted some material to show what that might look like, what might a challenge about defibrillators look like in practice, suggesting that it would be great if that could be launched with some kind of message from a paramedic. So what we're going to look at is the slides that we used to launch the challenge, and over that the voice of the Head of Professional Services from the College of Paramedics, who set the scene for this challenge.
Hi, my name's Liz Harris. I'm a paramedic in Sheffield in Yorkshire. I've worked for the ambulance service for over 20 years now, and I've been a paramedic for most of those years. It's an amazing job and an amazing career, quite unpredictable and can be stressful at times, as you might guess, but very rewarding, and just such a privilege to be a paramedic and look after people when they most need you.
So what are the type of situations where a paramedic is required, and what's the typical day for a paramedic?
Yeah, there's often not a typical day for a paramedic. So that's what I like about it, the unpredictability. So paramedics look after people with heart attacks, strokes, seizures, or perhaps people have accidents in their cars, children that have accidents and break bones. We often deliver babies and look after people that are having difficulty with their mental health, or even at the end of life. So we're often with people when they're dying as well.
You touched on heart attacks, and that's perhaps one of the things that students will be aware of, that they'll see on the TV programmes people who've had heart attacks and how paramedics deal with that. They'll have seen people using defibrillators. Do you want to explain a bit about that process and what's happening there?
Yes, so we use defibrillators when a person is in cardiac arrest. So that means that they're not breathing and their heart has stopped beating. If their heart is completely still and nothing's happening, then we don't use defibrillation at all. What we need is for the heart to be what's called fibrillating, which means it's kind of quivering and shaking. And then we can then put the pads on the patient from the defibrillator and deliver an electric shock. And what that does is it stops that fibrillation, it stops the heart, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, the very unique and clever heart myocardial cells will restart themselves, and hopefully that will mean that the heart will start to beat normally again.
So defibrillators use high voltage electricity. I mean, are they safe to use? You see them attached to the sides of public buildings.
Yes, absolutely, completely safe. And it's great that we're seeing lots more defibrillators out there. Public access defibrillators is what we call them. And they're completely safe. They're very clever. They can't deliver shocks to people that are not in cardiac arrest. They know not to do that. And so you shouldn't at all be fearful of these. Yes, it is electricity, and that can be dangerous in other situations, but certainly not in the terms of a public access defibrillator.
The students are going to be working on a challenge where they have to use their knowledge about current, voltage, electricity to perhaps persuade people that this is a really effective and safe way of saving somebody's life? I mean, what would you say to them about the importance of that?
It is. It's absolutely the way to save someone's life, and that's why they're out there. Certainly the public can save people's lives much quicker if they can be there at the side of someone that's collapsed whilst waiting for the ambulance and us to turn up some minutes later. So it's really important that you're not fearful of that. And yes, use the defibrillator, get it out the box. Sometimes when you are on the phone to 999, they will tell you what the keypad is for the defibrillator. So listen to the instructions, try and stay calm, and follow what the defibrillator tells you to do. It will take you through a set of steps and just follow those, and you can actually save someone's life.
What's your message to the students as they embark on this challenge?
Sounds like a great challenge. I hope you really enjoy it, and remember to keep learning, and remember that you can learn life-saving skills and use defibrillators. And I hope that I get to see some of your work. I'd be really happy to provide a bit of feedback to you if you do well.
So all students in the school, Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4, were invited to take part in the challenge, and they did. Their work was sent, or a selection of their work was sent to the College of Paramedics, and they responded. It's great to see all the students' amazing work on their science project, impressed that they'd learnt how defibrillators work and how they can save people's lives, and, as she says, hopefully you'll now know a little more about what paramedics do, encouraging the students to consider roles in the NHS in their future lives. So we're going to listen to the voice of the careers leader who instigated this project in the school, and we're going to look at some examples which were pulled together of the students' work, and we're also going to look at information which indicates the impact it had on those youngsters and what they learned.
It was kind of a flipped approach, because you would normally do, you would learn about different career paths and you would link them to a curriculum area. But whereas this was actually using areas of the curriculum that the members of staff had identified as being quite tough, quite challenging, quite difficult to engage, and actually adding a little bit of flair to them to really captivate the students' imagination. And the fact that that was then linked with an employer, and not just an employer, a faceless employer, but actually a member of staff within that employment, and that was linked, and also providing feedback at the end. The students then did engage, and I think also that they valued not just the program, but they valued their contribution to the project, that they wanted the feedback, they were interested immediately in the role. And what was nice, coming from a careers leader perspective, was that you had students saying that they didn't even know what that role was, and wanted to explore that role further, and that was nice because it had come from them. Whereas if I'd have just said, right, okay, today we're going to learn about allied health professionals, would it have been the same? Whereas because it was the project was used as a vehicle to help with the curriculum, so obviously the students value the curriculum, or ordinarily they value the curriculum, so they were already kind of, okay, what are we going to learn about today? And the fact that they learned about those curriculum areas through a different role that they were unfamiliar with, that sparked a bit of curiosity, and those students then wanted to pursue that. And that for me has been a huge value of the projects, that almost an unexpected outcome for me, and that's why I thought it was important to capture that. And it's been interesting, speaking to the students, that they didn't see it as work. They're seeing it as something quite fun. They're seeing it as something that they could do, that they could contribute to. They felt as though they were working for somebody else, and they were getting a lot from that, and saying, oh, have you spoke to them? What do they think? Did they see my work? And that is really nice, because then that's when you know that they really have engaged. They haven't just done it because they've been told, okay, this is what we're going to do. They've actually wanted to do it and gone above and beyond.